That's RS4, RS2. Still loading to the channel. Just give it a bit. And there we go. So, the stream's up to round 10 of the PlayStation RS2 Championship on RaceSpec Esports. It's time for the United States Grand Prix here at Circuit of the Americas. It is a 5.51 kilometer 20 turn racetrack designed by track making supremo Hermann Tilke. It's fairly unique Hilke-drome in the sense that it's not completely filled with long straights and heavy braking zones. After the somewhat unique turn 1, we have the high speed S's that form turns 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. The first part of that X section somewhat reminiscent to Maggots and Beckett's from Silverstone. If anything, it's a B-grade version of the Maggots and Beckett's from Silverstone, because track limits around here are brutal as hell. They really are brutal through that high-speed S section. Rest of the racetrack, it follows some of the world's best racetracks, sort of mimics them in a way. The triple right-hander that forms turns 16, 17 and 18 are somewhat reminiscent to the legendary Turkey turn 8, which we may see in F1 2020 if the Canadian Grand Prix is indeed cancelled. Turkey may be brought onto the calendar, so happy days to see Istanbul back. Maybe. We might see Istanbul back. And we got the Buddha hairpin, which is turn 11 on the racetrack. Sort of a nice, slow, left-handed hairpin that follows onto a very, very long straight that leads into the most prominent overtaking spot on the racetrack, turn 12. We'll see the majority of the action that takes place during this race happen there at turn 12. But qualifying is going to be quite difficult, I imagine, for almost everyone here. Track is brutal. There's no other way of putting it. It's just brutal. So many places where you can gather warnings. You sort of have to drive cautiously, very cautiously, so then you don't exceed track limits. And we got a development. It is starting to rain here in Austin, Texas. So this is the most ideal time to set a lap. We're right on board with Alex Parto, the Italian, as he makes through said high-speed S section, turn 5, and the double right-hander of turn 6. That completes the first sector. Into turn 7, then up the hill round turn 8, then turn 9. Takes it quite nicely. Up and over the crest, round turn 11. There's a car pulled off to the side. That is Wogboy. I'll talk about him in just a few moments. Around turn 11. Then on the long back straightaway, climbs up through the gears with DRS open. Into top gear, 8th gear, will speeds reaching towards 330 kilometers per hour as he slams on the anchors and comes around turn 12. Runs a bit wide on the exit, but he slows down just enough so he doesn't invalidate. Around turn 13 and immediately turn 14. Into turn 15, a unique place in the sense that it is possible to make overtakes happen here, but it's quite risky. It's a bit difficult to do. Around the triple right-hander, turn 16, 17, then through turn 18, and into the blind, turn 19. Completely blind on approach. You really do need racing line for that corner. And around the final turn, turn 20. Leo sets the fastest time. The first time, a 1 minute 30.2. And Alex does a 1:32.6. So the conditions definitely worsening out there. By contrast on the flying lap, Wogboy just starting a flying lap. One of the new drivers, Yasinov, I think is how you're supposed to pronounce it. Currently 4th with a 1 minute 30.7. ACW and Izzat Kush now take the front row. The two leading the championship are currently leading 1-2 in qualifying. Izzat on top with a 29.5. ACW in second with a 29.6. By contrast, is about to finish a lap, so is his teammate Rhythms coming around the final turn, crossing the line. Does a 31.4, goes 8th quickest. What about his teammate? Where does he drop in? By contrast, 9th quickest. Half a tenth of a second separating the two Ferrari cars. Joel jumps up to 6th place, just behind his fill-in teammate. Currently it's a Mercedes third row. Wogboy has invalidated, so he's backing off to try and set another flying lap. Prime jumps up to 4th place, a Finn with a 30.5. Tom rounds the final corner in the McLaren. He crosses the line on the medium compound as well with a 31.6. Oh, interesting. The rain isn't going away here. So, interesting to see he's on the mediums. I would have thought everyone would be on the soft compound. Wogboy proceeds to try and set another lap. Walks vision. Round turn 12. Crosses the sector 2 line. Apparently purple, but we'll have to wait and see. Round turn 15. Gets a bit squirrely on the exit, but he's still in control. Round turn 16, 17, and 18. Takes it quite nicely. Round turn 19. Then turn 20 to end the lap. Third gear gently on the throttle. DRS open. Does a 30.7. Pretty respectable time. P6 for the Belgian. I don't think times will be improving from here. I don't think the conditions are getting any better. If it continues to rain, the track will only get worse and worse. So I think this is the best times of the session. Wogboy had invalidated again. I only just noticed that. Rage, the Swede, down the hill towards turn 2 with a lovely revving glitch. You can see the gearbox having a great time there. Round turn 6, crossing the first sector line. It's 25 flat. Up the hill. Round turn 9. Up and over the crest, round turn 10. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about Wogboy because we're nearing the end of the championship. I think after this there are 5 rounds to go, if memory serves me correctly. In which case we do have to talk about the Drivers' Championship in particular. At the moment it's looking like a 2-horse race between ACW and Izzat. ACW leading the championship on 166 points. He has a 24-point lead over Izzat Kush. He is on 142 points, which is fantastic for ACW. He almost has an entire race weekend's gap to Izzat. So for the Alfa Romeo driver, their sole target in tonight's race is to finish in front of ACW. It's going to be very, very difficult to do that, though. As Rage does a 32.4, goes 14th quickest. I know Izzat is quite a maestro in the... but I'm not sure if it's going to continue raining through the race or not. We'll have to wait and see. Will Wogboy finally get a lap down of some description? Seems like he does. 1 minute 33.2, well off the pace, but at least it's something. See what Plebs does in the first sector. Also yet to set a lap time. He's one of the championship outsiders, I feel, and the same goes with Wogboy. Wogboy is 47 points behind ACW. Plebs is 50 points behind ACW. They're mathematically in contention, and all that it takes is both of those cars that are leading the way, ACW and Izzat, in the Drivers' Championship. If they both have mistakes in these final couple of races, if they both score no points in a couple of races, then it really blows this championship wide open. So although at this stage it's a 2-horse race between Izzat Kush and ACW, Wogboy and Plebs can get themselves in there with a few solid races and with a bit of luck, of course. See what Plebs can do at the end of this lap. I'm talking about being an outside shot in the championship. Qualifying this late when the track is getting worse, definitely not going to help his cause. Though he is 7th quickest with a 31 flat. Interesting. Perhaps the conditions aren't actually worsening. Izzat has invalidated. See what ACW is up to. Yet to invalidate. Current personal best 1 minute 29.645. Currently 1/10 behind his rival. Coming around the final two curves now and into the pits. There's ACW. Sideways into the pits, I should say. See, Prime is half a second down and he hasn't invalidated. You're seeing only a 10th off his personal best. So the track conditions, it would seem, haven't deteriorated massively. Not as much as I initially thought. Gaming Wafer, giving Aramco a bit of TV time, it seems. That's all he was doing there. It wasn't a spin. No. He was just plugging in some Aramco sponsorship, you know, for the stream. You know. High contrast. Seems that he was only 4 thousandths off his best time, so... But it's still raining. It hasn't stopped raining. But the conditions have sort of stayed neutral. They haven't become worse. Ooh, as Rage proceeds to destroy his floor. Wouldn't that be something in the 2021 game? Floor damage. That'd be something. And I can imagine Codemasters doing that because with what I've seen about the 2021 game, they seem to be adding in a lot of things. They did it with this game as well. Like from this game and back to 2019, they added in the career mode, they added in F2 2020, added in the customizable livery stuff in as well. They added in a lot of stuff. But initially the game was incredibly broken. And that sort of worries me with F1 2021. How broken is that going to be when it releases? Hopefully it's not, but I can't help but feel it just is going to be broken. But we'll wait and see. Walks has invalidated. 5 minutes left in the session. Nobody has improved. And as you can see, it's still very much raining. Interesting. I haven't really seen this sort of weather dynamic before. How is that not an invalidation? Codemasters, you really are taking the piss sometimes. My word. Round turn 1, down the hill. Round turn 2. Some of the things you see in this game, my god. Oh, you can see how horrible it is through the S's. These are by far and away my least favourite conditions out of any weather conditions you could possibly face. It's where the dry, slick tyre doesn't get up to temperature, but it's not wet enough, so then you put on the Inter. So you sort of just have to deal with it. And it's horrible, particularly if you're not using assists, because it's such a guessing game. See, a bit of locking up. Nicely on the throttle there. See, the car has a hard time turning in. Just can't get the grip down, can't rotate. But he needs to set something. Setting something is better than nothing. So, round 19. Around the final corner, turn 20. Understeers quite a bit. DRS open to the line, goes 18th quickest, beats Jon Perline and the Finn in the McLaren, who comes out of the pits. Come and set a lap time. Wogboy desperate to improve. Sector 1 says he has by 0.2 of a second. Round turn 9. Using all of the track down the hill towards the heavy braking zone of turn 11. Goes down to second gear. Short shifts to third. Fourth, fifth gear, sixth gear. Seventh with DRS open. Eighth gear. Izzat Kush has elected to retire. Probably a sensible decision, that. Around turn 12. Let's see what Sector 2 says. Improve by a little under 0.6. You'll at least try and jump up one position. It's going to be a bit difficult to jump up more. Around the triple right-hander. Doesn't Verstappen it, doesn't cut too much. Round turn 19. Then he has to try now the final corner and the short run to the start-finish line. What does he do? He does a 1 minute 32.9, improves by 0.3, but stays 17th quickest. And I said start-finish line, didn't I? It's actually just the finish line. The start line is way, way, way in front of the finish line. Not bad. KD appears to be ready to set a flying lap. American joining in late, but he's here now. It's basically one shot qualifying. You got one chance to get it right. And now we have a full field of cars ready for this race, so thumbs up in that regard. Round turn 1, and then barreling down the hill round turn 2. Gets it into 7th, probably will keep it in 7th. He'll shift down to 6th here. There we go. And around turn 6, Sector 1, 25.5 seconds. Up the hill round 8, then 9. Doesn't use the curb on the outside, doesn't really need to. Probably shouldn't use the curb. Might unsettle the car too much, spin you out into a wall. Takes turn 11 quite nicely. DRS open. You'll be keeping an eye on the braking boards. See the 50, then look towards the apex. Kind of misses it, runs wide. Luckily he doesn't invalidate. 3.2 in the second sector. Around turn 15. Gently on the brakes, keeps the car in third. And around the triple right-hander. Now the final two turns. Turn 19. Then turn 20. Go down to third gear. Hit the apex nicely. Dash to the line. Goes 18th quickest with a 1 minute 34.340. So you won't be starting from plumb last. That unfortunately will go to Jon Pullein and the Finn in the McLaren. BPV8 on a flying lap, but he is 1.7 seconds down on his personal best, so I don't think he will be improving. But all he needs to do is cross the finish line and we can move on. Instead he goes into the pits. So a somewhat uneventful qualifying session, purely because of the weather. Hopefully it's not like that in the race itself. But on pole, it is Izzat Kush, followed by his championship rival and championship leader, ACW Leo, in third, Prime in fourth, Works Vision in fifth, Yasin Elf in C8 in ninth, and the Gaming Wafer rounds out the top 10. We'll go through the rest of the order when we line up onto the grid, see what the conditions are like first of all, and then determine what tyre everyone's going to try and start on. Around here, from what I've noticed, the one-stop soft-medium strategy in dry conditions is the way to go. And it is clear skies here in Texas, so I imagine it's going to be completely dry. There is no hint of cloud cover, though that may change very quickly, so be on your toes in that regard. But Naturally, if it's a dry race, soft to mediums is one of the ways to go. The alternate strategy, medium to soft. And I have seen that prove to be a very, very powerful strategy. To be on the soft tyre right at the end of the race. One of the drivers in this field, Mr. Racespec, Plevs, had an absolutely astonishing race in Pacific Tier 1 when he did the alternate strategy. Started on the mediums, finished on the softs. He cut his way through and he almost finished on the podium. He was, I think, about 6/10 off or something like that. Actually, it was less. It was 2/10 off, wasn't it, from finishing on the podium. He was very, very close. So it's... For those outside the top 10, I would recommend starting on the mediums and going on to the softs, but you do you. But anyway, drivers set off on their formation lap. All the drivers inside the top 10 starting on the softs, all the drivers bar one outside the top 10 starting on mediums. Fantastic. Finn Kelly in P11 starting on the medium compound, same with Rhythms in P12. His teammate iContrast P13, the two are always very close together. He too starting on the medium compound. Tom in the McLaren starting from 14th on the medium tyre. Alex Parto in 15th starting on the medium tyre. Rage in 16th starting on the medium tyre. Wogboy in 17th, the man who is third in the championship. He's got a lot of work to do. Also starting on the medium compound. The Stone Tal in 18th starting on the medium compound. Jompalainen in 19th starting on the medium compound. And because he joined late, KD's lap time was deleted, I guess, and he's starting at the back of the field on the medium. I got you there, on the soft time. It's a pretty ballsy strategy, but it can work for KD because everyone in front of him is starting on the medium, so he can cut his way through the field and catch up to the top 10 and race with them. And who knows, there may be a safety car that sort of falls in favour for the soft runners rather than the mediums, and that will put KD in a fantastic place towards the end of the race. So who knows, it might work out. There's a predicted tyre stop strategy. Pit window lap 11 through 13 for fresh soft, so I imagine lap 10 through 12 is what the game is suggesting for all of these guys inside the top 10 when they're on scrubbed rubber. So this is going to be a very interesting race indeed. Full field of cars, which is always fantastic. More cars equals more battles, which hopefully equals more fun. And a definite is more cars equals more action. Definitely needed that. So there's going to be absolutely no interference from wet weather. It's going to be completely dry. Righto. See how this all pans out. Everyone lining up, everyone ready to race here at COTA. We have 5 red lights. And it's lights out. And away we go. Isaac converts to start incredibly well. There's a Renault going down the outside, heading up the hill towards turn 1. It is 3 wide here. And everyone gets through relatively okay. No massive amount of drama as of yet, but this is where we might see a bit. Through the high-speed S's on the first lap. Drivers just trying to find a bit of track to race on. And everyone gets through okay. That's fantastic to see. Sometimes through that high-speed S section you see an accident or two. Like we just saw there. Finn Kelly spins round. There's some side-by-side action. Alex Parto looking down the inside of Wogboy. iContrast looking down the inside of Joel. Although he was given the space, Joel had a far better exit. And M-Place flying off as a car plummets through the field. It's the Frenchman. Yes enough, he has fallen all the way down to last. On the straightaway. How has that happened? What an odd sight. Unfortunately, he has a lot of work to do and he basically needs to rely on luck now. With that wing damage, he must pit. And pit onto the hard tyre, I guess? Ooh, it's just very unfortunate. Nothing really works in your favour now. You basically have to rely on a safety car coming out. BP loses a few positions, falls down to 14th as running wide is Jon Palainen. Gives up a few positions when he rejoins the racetrack. And into the pits goes BP V8. So this will be a front wing change for the Renault. I wonder if this Renault and the Mercedes of Yasenelf came together, I wonder. Sure there'll be something discussed about it post-race. But Isaac Kush, what a conversion that was off the line. He absolutely nailed it. According to the game, he's got a 2-stop tyre strategy to try and complete. I don't think the 2-stop is too viable, especially in this sort of tier where everyone is so incredibly quick. I think it might be a bit of a safer option to stick with the 1-stop. See a couple of the medium runners moving their way up the field. Rhythms is one of them. Tom, the McLaren behind, is another. Doing a good job keeping their noses out of trouble. They're both in the top 10 and on the medium compound tyre. It's exactly what they're looking for at the start of the race. Make up a few positions, keep your nose clean. You just need to continue to do that as DRS is now enabled. Adds an extra layer of spice to this race now with DRS enabled. KD might be looking at an overtake here. He's on soft tyres. He wants to get a move on. He sends it down the inside. Takes out a bollard. He carries it with him as well. He has a little buddy, a little orange bollard that flies off towards the tyre barrier at the exit of turn 2. Through the high-speed S's, Wogboy tries to hang on, though KD would have better mechanical grip at this stage. Round turn 8, then turn 9. And gets a 3-second time penalty, the first for tonight. And trust me, we're going to see a lot of them. Round turn 11. It's a long straight dash towards turn 12. DRS open, using overtake. As Prime gets past Leo gets past Prime, and Plebs Rhythms gets past the Gaming Wafer. So Wafer losing a position to a medium runner. He can't afford to have a medium runner in front of him. He will lose so much time through the corners. Because these soft tyres are still good. They should still have a small edge. Even over fresh mediums. Vision, a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. The second for tonight. As Tom, now on the back of Wafer, loses ground. The Williams has got some straight line speed. Oh, overcooks the hairpin just a little bit. Hangs on to position though. So Wafer is struggling on these tyres. He's not enjoying the softs at all. See the car is squirreling all over the place. See, he's missing the apex of turn 8. Overcooks turn 9. Massive correction. And fortunately, he doesn't collect anyone in the process. See there, his car was completely sideways when he ran over the curb at turn 9. He corrected it, and then suddenly he had a whole heap of grip. It sent him off the road. But he's still in the race. Still going, and no damage from what I could see. Stays behind eye contrast. I wonder if KD will think about a move. He is thinking about it. He sends it. Round turn 14, he will have the outside for 15. So Wafer should hang on here. But KD round the outside had better traction. And he stays in P12, making the move stick. And into the pits goes the Gaming Wafer. He's had enough of those tyres, he's in. Towards the front of the field, we have 3 cars within a second of each other. Izzat leading the way, ACW in second, Leo in third. 1.4 seconds separate him and the Finn Prime. And it's Walks Vision in P5. Plebs in P6, they're within a second of each other as well, so they have DRS available to them. And Plebs, the first medium runner, in 7th. Is ACW close enough perhaps to go for an overtake? He's not using ERS, neither is Izzat. And I think, oh, he used a little bit then. I saw just a brief flash of green. He's using a little bit of overtake, not a lot, just a little bit. Exiting 15, around the triple right-hander. Can't do anything quite just yet, just have to play slightly patient game. Plebs closing in on Vision, who makes a mistake. Will that open up a door here for Plebs? No, it doesn't. Stays behind the Red Bull for now. See what the rest of the field are up to. KD on the back of Eye Contrast. These two have had battles before. And some transgressions before as well. Particularly a certain race at Austria that wasn't great for a lot of drivers. But KD on those soft compound tyres, how aggressive is he going to be? Where will he look? Well, at the moment he is losing time, as Plebs does get by Walks. That is for 5th place. See him shooting down the straight, pulling out a massive margin already, almost a second. KD not close enough to attack just yet. You see, there's several DRS trains forming. You got the one between the top 3. Then you've got Rhythms leading a train with Tom and Joel just behind his Wog Boy in Contrast. And there's this lot. There's KD, Rage, Alex Parter. Finn isn't too far behind either. So the field's still relatively bunched up. Just not really in any sort of a position to attack each other. Ooh, a lot of locking up there from Tom. Joel closes in. Now this section is not easy at the most of times, but when you're sitting behind a car as Joel gets a 3-second time penalty, it is infuriating because of the amount of dirty air that you're getting. It's really not nice to try and drive through. You do lose a fair amount of grip when you're stuck behind someone. As I think Tom is going to have a crack here. No, he doesn't. If he wanted to have a go, he would have started using overtake a little while down the straight. And I think he would have made the move stick just by that little exchange there. The McLaren got incredibly close to the Ferrari. Ooh, and he used absolutely no overtake, so... I just wonder if he used just a little bit of overtake, how much would he have closed in by? Could he have made that position? Ooh, as ACW is in the pits. So, the first of the leading trio is in. What's the tyre? What's going on to the car? It looks like softs. They are softs. So this is going to be a 2-stop strategy from ACW. As there was a bit of a pit glitch there, but that's okay. Out he comes. He's behind KD. Now, problem is with the two-stop, you've got a lot of work to do. You can't muck around. ACW needs to effectively close in this gap from P14 up to first. Needs to be aggressive, assertive. He needs to make every move stick. He cannot lose time. He cannot afford to lose time. Down the inside into 11. Overtakes KD. He's now into 13th. Next target, Alex Parto, the Italian. Uses DRS, doesn't use any ERS to try and close in. Oh, hang on, no. It's not quite over just yet. Tom and Rhythms fighting for 6th place and the lead for the medium runners. Rounding turn 15. Bit of a revving glitch there for Tom. Always nice to listen to. Joel just in behind, same with Wogboy. They're all bunched up now. Already ACW has gotten past Alex. Next target is Rage, P11. 7-lap-old medium compound tyres is going to be massively slower as KD is in the pits, lap 9 of 28. What's going on to the racing point? Walks a 3-second time penalty. It's the mediums. I wonder if he's trying to go to the end of the race. Come out behind Gaming Wafer and quite possibly BPV8. He will. So rejoins in 19th. I think he's going to try and go to the end. ACW down the inside. Gets it done. Into P11. Plebs and Prime battling for position. This is for 3rd at the moment. Prime not fighting too hard just yet. It's just sitting in behind Plebs. See, if he really wanted the battle right now, he would have sent it up the inside there, turn 15. He's just being on a bit more of a reserved sort of drive. Just pick your moment to fight. And as of right now, Prime doesn't want to fight. He wants to get a move on. Already Plebs has built up a 6/10 margin. And a spinning Mercedes. That is Joel. Oh, and in the wow. In the background, we had a McLaren off the track, and then Joel just reversed onto the racing line. It's okay, though, thank goodness, because everyone's ghosting. But that had to have been Tom. Jon Palanen is in the pits. Tom was completely off the racetrack there in the background. He's fighting with Vision and Rhythms. So yeah, some hard racing going on back here, it seems, between these medium runners and Vision, of course. We see the German go for a move, looking down the inside. Needs to be brave. Round turn 12, they are side by side, but Rhythms in the more dominant position moves himself up into P6. Finn Kelly and Joel having that moment, his tyres would be absolutely destroyed as Kush comes in. The race leader is in the pits. Keep an eye on the tyre graphic. What does he go on to? Plebs is in as well. Mediums for Izzat. Plebs. Mediums. And into the pits goes Joel. To no one's surprise. After that spin, he needed to go in. So out comes Izzat. In front of Rage, but behind ACW. But ACW, remember, has to make another pit stop, and that's KD. Into the pits again. To retire the car, he has had enough. Plebs just in behind Finn. ACW on the back of Wogboy. This should be a fairly straightforward move. Down the inside. Completes the pass, moves back onto the racing line. Pulls the car up for turn 12. Now he has to get past Rhythms and then Tom, because the two cars after that, they're going to be pitting very soon. So ACW is going to be in clear air in a few moments' time. But he needs to get by Tom and Rhythms. In fact, Leo is pitting in right now. Is Prime doing the same? He is. So all of the cars that started on the soft compound are in. For their one and only pit stop, Tom now leads. Rhythms being overtaken by ACW. The Alpha is now in second place, 1.6 seconds behind the McLaren of Tom. It's going to close in rapidly. Ideally, ACW would like to pass him this lap. If he can gain 3 tenths, now 2 tenths before this DRX detection zone that's coming up right now, he'll have DRS. And that is precisely what he is going to have right now, is DRS. He switches on overtake. And he keeps it on. Oh, actually, he took it off just then. He turned it off, then he switched it off. He turned it on, switched it off, then he turned it on again. Then he realized he was too far back, so he switched it off. Bit of oversteer at the exit. Will he go down the inside? Yep. Oh, Tom takes the apex. He's not mucking around. Tom R. He's saying, no, mate, I'm not just going to roll out the red carpet for you. You can stay behind me for now, sunshine. I'm going to do my thing. And ACW is probably going to say in reply, Lamau, I have DRS. Goodbye. A very straightforward overtake down the inside of turn 1. The power of DRS, ladies and gentlemen. The power of DRS. The Stone Tail has had a bit of a spin. Falls to 18th. Leo overtakes Alex. Alex is overtaken by his teammate as he runs wide at the exit of turn 1. You can still see this train of cars wiggling their way through what is now the second sector. Field is still very, very close together. Quite impressive to see. Stone Tail has elected to retire from the session. 2 retirements now, 18 cars are left. Plebs closing in on Leo. Down the inside goes Mr. Raceback. Leo fights. He holds it there around the outside, Leo. He'll have the inside line for 13 and also for 14. But Plebs hangs it around the outside. Superb bit of driving there. Round turn 15. Then the triple right-hander. There is little Leo can do through here other than follow Plebs, which he does. He'll try and attack him heading towards turn 1. Exiting the final turn, crossing the line to begin the 14th lap. Leo doesn't use any overtake. Going to stay in behind Plebs for now. Locking up round turn 1. Doesn't cost him too much momentum though. is that on the back of Wogboy. He would like to get past, except Wogboy will have DRS. He doesn't have a lot of ERS though. Izzat's got a fair amount to use. Rage a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. DRS open. Using overtake. Goes alongside the Renault. Gets in front. And he fully passes him just before the apex of turn 12. Into 4th place goes the Red Bull. Next is Rhythms in the Ferrari. Alex and Prime just exchanged positions, I think I just saw. Down the order. Plebs is... sorry. BPV8 is just behind the gated wafer, dearie me. Izzat passing Rhythms now. Straightforward move. No fight at all. Into 3rd. Next is Tom. The leading medium runner from the start of the race. BP 3 seconds. Into the pits he goes actually. Man, those revving glitches are lovely to listen to. Leo can't find a way past Rage just yet. He may have a crack here though. I think he will. DRS open. Keeps overtake switched on. Then he switches it off. Rage doesn't fight it. Lets him through. It allows Leo to keep the pressure on Plevs. Not let him go. Plebs clawing onto the back of Eye Contrast on significantly fresher tyres, and into the pits goes Wogboy. He's in. Oh, revving glitch is great. What tyres? They're soft. Soft compound, go on. Had some stint to do on those tyres. Sure they can go the distance, but there's some stint. 13 laps. Rage doing the same. There goes his teammate Wafer and Joel. Joel's set to go to the end. Not sure about Wafer on 10 lap old mediums. The SNL for 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Frenchman still fighting on, showing off the spirit of racing. You never give up, and who knows, there might be a safety car. Brings himself back into this race. Izzat pushed down the inside of Tom into 2nd place, meaning that the two championship leaders are now 1-2 in the race once again. The gap is 5.5 seconds. I'm sure ACW was hoping for a slightly bigger lead than that, because that means a lot of catching up. That means he has to do a lot of catching up when he goes onto the medium tyre to go to the end, which he's pitting onto now. So there goes his rival. Is that now in the lead? Onto the medium compound, and away ACW goes. Plebs comes out in front of ACW. Leo will as well, as he passes Eye Contrast down the inside. But Contrast fights. Rounding turn 2. Then into the high speed S's. This will hurt Leo in his battle with Plebs. To be stuck in the dirty air of the Ferrari in front, there is very little he can do, and this is pushing him back towards Prime. Prime, like Leo, is set to go to the end of the race. Big send? No. Leo thinks better of it. But this should be a fairly straightforward move for the Haas. DRS Open using overtake, slingshot Spy with the greatest of ease. I don't think Prime can follow though, he is too far behind. Oh, almost goes back. Right, oh dear, almost goes right into the back of Icon Trust, but sends it here. Gets the move done. And there's ACW. On fresh rubber. Got a lot of work to do. The gap between him and race leader Isaac Kush, 11.2 seconds. Actually, that is a far smaller margin than what I thought it was going to be. Interesting. Icon Trust pits. Set of soft tyres go on as Wogboy sets fastest lap. Oh, hello. Rhythms and Alex exchanging positions. Tom overtaking Vision for P6. Wogboy on the back of the Red Bull, heading through the high-speed S's. Round turn 6. This ends the first sector. Wogboy, he may be quicker, but he can't find a way past. Not through here. He might be able to do it at turn 11, though. Does Vision defend? No. He leaves the door wide open, and Wogboy doesn't go through it. Okay. He does now. And here comes Rhythms. In the slipstream. Has the inside. Wogboy's out of ERS. They're going to turn 12 side by side. Rhythms comes out on top, and Vision tried to follow Rhythms there quite sneakily. Unfortunately, he couldn't pull that off. But well done, Rhythms. Had a plentiful amount of ERS, and he kept it on and got by Wogboy with ease, overtaking 2 cars in 1 corner. ACW is charging though. Rhythm sets fastest lap with a 32.426. Through the high-speed S's. As Alex pits for the final time, he'll go onto soft compound tyres and go to the end. How straightforward would this move be for ACW? He's on significantly fresher rubber. There is a Sector 3 yellow flag. It's Yasinov. Down the inside, Leo. Cuts the corner a lot. Plebs and Leo are scrapping really hard here. ACW says, yeah, this is nice, fellas, but you're costing me time. Please. And Plebs, because he was offline, loses 3rd place to ACW. On the pitch straight, DRS Open using overtake, sitting in the slipstream. This should be a straightforward move. Looks like it is going to be. Into 2nd place goes ACW. Now he's got clear air and a clear target. 9.2 seconds in 9 laps. That is his task. Can he complete it? It's going to take some effort. This is somewhat reminiscent to Tier 1. Where we have cars closing in on each other rapidly. Wait, was it Tier 1? Pacific Series? No, it was America's Series, wasn't it? America's Series. But we had that battle at the front. Fantastic to watch too. ACW, he's got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. Rest of the field though looks fairly under control, not a lot happening. Woke Boy on the back of Rhythm, so we may see a little exchange between those two. But the main item to look at will be ACW's charge towards the leader. So, crossing the line, he will have 8 laps left. The gap is 8.3 seconds. He needs to close in a little over a second a lap. Right on board, see how he operates. Exiting 1 in 3rd gear. Goes flat through turn, flat 3, 4 is flat. Same with turn 5. Turn 6, he takes the first apex flat out. Once he gets past the first apex, he starts to brake. Exiting 9, very on point. Making absolutely no mistakes through that first sector, and that's not easy to do. Exiting the hairpin. DRS open. No, sorry, there's no car in front, and this isn't qualifying. So no DRS available as of yet. Gaming way for a 3-second time penalty. Gap is 7.7 seconds, but this is where I imagine he will gain a lot of time in this technical 3rd sector. A lot of slow speed corners where you need the mechanical grip. Closes in by a 10 through that complex around the triple right-hander. Closes in a bit more. Now at the beginning of this lap it was about 8.3 seconds. It's now 7.4. So he's gained 9 tenths. So it's looking pretty solid. He is moving in the right direction. He just needs to move a bit quicker in the right direction. Just a little bit quicker. Not a lot quicker, but a little bit. Woke Boy still behind Rhythms, unable to get by as of yet. Actually, he's lost a tremendous amount of time. What have you done? That gap increased quite a bit. Does he have DRS available to him? Yes, he does. So he hasn't lost it. Thank goodness for him. Rhythms won't like that too much though. Still have to put up with that. Yellow Renault, he says. Just all over in his wing mirrors, being a pest. Prime and Plebs fairly close together as Vision has left the session. Driver in 9th place. He's going to lose a fair amount of time if he doesn't join back soon. So when ACW crosses the line, he is 6.5 seconds behind race leader Isaac Kush, with 6 laps to go. Still needs to keep pushing. Those medium tyres they are going to fall off, but not at a rapid rate. They are quite consistent here at COTA. All running wide Prime. This gives Tom an opportunity. This might put him into the top 5. Exiting 9. Over the crest at 10. Into 11. Doesn't send it. Nor should he. See, there's a fair old gap behind, so he doesn't have to worry about cars behind him. A straightforward move, it would seem. Has the inside line, has the dominant position, and into 5th place goes Tom on his soft compound tyres. But I'm sure Prime is not going to give up that easily. Doesn't go for a move at 15. Just lets Tom stay out in front. Isaac Kush crosses the line. ACW also crosses the line. Gap is now 5.7 seconds with 5 laps to go. All that it takes is one mistake from either driver, and I don't want to look at the warnings. I don't want to jinx either one of them. As of right now, they're on even ground, no penalties. But ACW is on significantly fresher tyres. And in that sort of situation, I'd much rather be the hunter than the huntee. It's a lot easier when you have a car in front to try and catch, rather than having to constantly look behind you at the car behind, or constantly look at the interval to manage the gap. This is the only time we will ever see this camera, this weird wing camera. It's only here at COTA. Tom showing the nose. Plevs holds the line. This is for 4th place on track, though penalties will see to it that Plevs will beat them both Tom and Leo at this stage. So Plevs is looking at a podium finish as of right now. As that crosses the line, begins lap 25 of 28, 4 laps to go. So does ACW, gap is 4.7 seconds. ACW is closing. Those tyres on Izzat's car are wearing. The battle is intensifying as Tom gets by Plevs. That is for 4th on track. Now Tom has to get by Leo, then he has clear air. Well, that's going to be an easy thing. Logboy is still behind Rhythms in that battle for 7th. Excuse me. Seems that Finn Kelly might be giving BP a bit of trouble. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Oh, and they made contact at the apex. That was a weird overtake. Weird collision, I should say, because BP really moved over in the braking zone, and I think Finn kind of just sort of drove into BP there. Granted, Finn had a very narrow line because of the Moreno moving over on him. It's just a generally very odd exchange between those two. Tom on the back of Leo. ACW closing some more. 3 laps to go. Gap is 4 seconds. ACW, he needs to pull something out of the bag here. There is a Mercedes in front. That is an AI car. Doesn't impede the leaders. Tom and Leo very close together through the high-speed S's. Leo would have an advantage because he is in clear air. Tom, all that he can do is just minimize time loss and then try and overtake the halves down the long back straightaway heading towards turn 12. It's Alex, and that is his AI, I'm pretty sure, is in the pits. Because not a few moments ago, he just left the session. Completing the second sector, the gap is now 3.6 seconds. As Tom overtakes Leo. Leo's fighting, locking up through 13. Tom on the outside with more grip, hangs on. He's now into 3rd place, but again, those penalties will see him drop through the order. Well away from the podium places. Rage and Contrast fighting for position. Still fighting for position. Rage goes very wide. He'll get a switch back. Tries to get the traction down. Is unable to do so. Contrast into 9th. All that Plebs needs to do right now is to not get any penalties, and he's ready to take a podium finish. 3rd place will go to him so long as he doesn't get a penalty. If he does, he has to battle Leo for position, as Leo only has 3 seconds worth of pens. Out in front though, ACW can now see Isaac Kush very clearly. Is this the shot of adrenaline he needs to try and take the win here? The gap is 2.2 seconds. We've only got 1 1/3 of laps remaining. Can ACW do anything from here? Rounding the triple right-hander for the 2nd last time. Round turn 19. Then turn 20 to end the lap. The gap is 1.4 seconds as they cross the line to begin the final lap here at COTA. Up the hill. Round turn 1. Down the hill. Round turn 2. And now the S's, the critical S's. Turn 3, 4, 5, 6. Gap closes to 1.3. Round turn 8. Gap is 1.1 second. He needs to be within DRS range at the DRS detection line. And ACW knows that he's dumping his ERS. Is he close enough? I don't think he was. I think he missed out. Only just. Gap is under a second. 9/10 separating the 2 leaders. They are barreling towards turn 12. The gap is 1 second. Exiting 12 towards 13. It's been some drive from these 2. Standout drivers from the field once again. They've got a comfortable margin to those in 3rd, 4th and 5th. They're coming to the final 2 turns of this race. The gap is less than 1/2 of a second. ACW, he tries to go for it, but to no avail. Isaac Kush will win the US Grand Prix by 0.6 of a second. It was a desperate move from ACW. Just wasn't quite close enough to try and pull it off. Tom celebrates, having a nice spin there. He drops to P7 after penalties. Plebs finishes on the podium in 3rd, Leo in 4th, Wogboy in P5, Rhythms in 6th. As I said, Tom in 7th with his celebration at the line. Prime in 8th, High Contrast finishes in 9th with potentially Rage in P11. Joel moves up to 10th. We'll just have to wait on these guys to finish the race. Remember, the top 15 score points. Gaming Weather crosses the line in 12th, stays 12th. Finn Kelly 13th. Jon Palanen 13th. Finn Kelly drops to 14th, and I think it was BPV8. Final point scorer in 15th. Driver of the day given to G-Force Wogboy. Didn't have the greatest of qualifying sessions after a wet weather qualifying session. It is a Kush. Well done. Making the one-stop strategy work. Just. If there was one more lap, I reckon ACW would have had the Red Bull driver. And well done to Plebs as well. No penalties once again. And another podium finish next to his name. But the unofficial results here from Circuit of the Americas. Isaac Kush A fine victory. ACW in second, only 6/10 separating the top two at the end. Plevs in third, Leo in fourth, Wogboy in fifth, Plevs... dearie me, I'm having a rough night. Rhythms in sixth, Tom in seventh, Prime in eighth, I Contrast in ninth, and Joel rounds out the top 10. Rage in 11th, Gaming Wafer in 12th, Yompalane in 13th, Finn Kelly in 14th, and it was BP in 15th place. Then Xbox Vision, Alex Pato, Yasanov, the Stone Town, and KD. Stone Town KD retiring in the pit lane. Yasanov and Alex, and Vision, I believe, all of them leaving the session without retiring. Or rather, disconnecting from the session and unable to return. BP snags fastest lap as well with a 31.805. So he'll score 2 points over the weekend. 2 definitely better than 1. But a nice little climax to that race. Fairly solid one overall. What you come to expect from Circuit of the Americas. But in terms of the championship, this has helped Izzat out just a little bit. The gap before, after this round, with Izzat winning, ACW in second, that gap reduces by 7. So the gap now 17 points with 5 rounds to go. Definitely looking like a 2-horse race now. Definitely. But the next round isn't next week. We have another week off. So we'll have to wait about a fortnight for the next race. Bit unfortunate, but that's how it is. Dear me, I just briefly forgot what team Izzat Kush was on. But yeah, in a fortnight's time we're moving from here in the United States down south towards Mexico, where we go to Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. In Mexico City. It's not a bad racetrack if you take out the second sector. That second sector is arguably one of the worst high-speed S sections of any racetrack on the calendar. Very difficult, very demanding. You have to cut every corner of that S section, and if you get it wrong, the game will definitely let you know about it. Got an incredibly long straight with several overtaking points, and of course the arena section, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'll discuss about that more when we get there. But yes, nice little break for us in a Race Spec Esports. So until next time, I've been the Smeg. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in a fortnight's time for the Mexican Grand Prix at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Until then, goodbye.